Love is but a song we sing, and fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring and make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the way, and you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together and try to love one another right now. I know that you can.
Good morning, my friends, and welcome to our Sunday morning service. I am Reverend Elisha Christopher. I am your assistant minister here at CSL Santa Cruz, and I'm just so grateful that you've decided to tune in and join us this morning. We are here live at CSL Santa Cruz in Live Oak, California, and our theme for this month is Celebrating Divine Truth, Leading Us to Newness. We have a special song created by our music director, Lea, that she's sharing with us, which is a part of our centering this month, and the song is called Where is the Light? And so I invite you to take a deep breath in and sing with Lea. Where is the light? It's right here. Thank you so much, Lea. As you may or may not know, my friends, we are part of a worldwide movement we call the Centers for Spiritual Living. Good morning, my friends, and welcome.
Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Let's sing it now. Where is the light? Where is the light, child? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. That's why I sing this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, 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 shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Where is the light? It's right here. Thank you so much, Lea. As you may or may not know, my friends, we are part of a worldwide movement we call the Centers for Spiritual Living. And as we at CSL Santa Cruz do share our mission and vision and purpose with our greater movement, we also have our own personal centering statement that reminds us of who we are and what we're here for. So if you would, read this aloud with me at home. I'll read it aloud here. Take a deep breath. And here we go. We are a spiritually progressive community that transforms lives and the world through a philosophy of possibility thinking and responding to life with love. My friends, we have a wonderful service planned for you this morning. Our beloved Sky Leona is our practitioner of the day, and she'll be reading a special poem that we've chosen for you as we are choosing poetry readings for the month of December as part of our centering time. And then Sky will give us a moment of contemplation with spiritual mind treatment. And we will have a song, another song from Lea, our music director, and then our beloved Reverend Alice will be doing our inspirational talk for the day.
I'm going to be reading a poem by Jennifer Wellwood called Unconditional. And as I begin, I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow these words to descend and allow them to enlighten. Willing to experience aloneness, I discover connection everywhere. Turning to face my fear, I meet the warrior who lives within. Opening to my loss, I gain the embrace of the entire universe. Surrendering into emptiness, I find fullness without. And each condition I flee from pursues me. Each condition I welcome transforms me and becomes itself transformed into its radiant, jewel-like essence. I bow to the One who has made it so, who has crafted this master game. To play it is pure delight. To honor its form, true devotion. And now I'm again going to invite you to close your eyes, take enough deep breath. And as you exhale, check out your body to see if you're holding anywhere. Your eyebrows, your jaw, your stomach. Just allow it all to relax. And as I take this breath, it is the aliveness that perpetuates my participation. I know this is the truth of who I am on this planet, in this universe. That one absolute existence, that essence that is all things evermore, is already at work conditionally and constitutionally in my body. And now I take that second breath and I recognize that I am a participant, always, in this activity of living. I know who I am. I am an individual expression, a co-creator, and I'm calling on myself now in this moment, and I'm claiming my truth. And my truth is love. Loving kindness. My truth is joy. It is who I am when I'm experiencing the delight of life. My truth is peace, that deep, deep sense of well-being. And as such, I am able to allow a greater truth to unfold for who I am and what I am. And I know this is true for all of us here, participating here right now. The more of us is waiting for a recognition. And I am grateful to know that it is always available to me. So in this next space of time that we spend together, I'm giving gratitude to those who have participated in producing this broadcast, and to those who will be giving us their words of wisdom, to all who are listening now, saying yes to the more of us. Blessed be, and so it is.
What are you searching for? What are you trying to find? It's so near. It's right here. What is your true desire? What can't you live without? Look around. Nothing is lost, and you can be found. Will you come home? Will you come home? come home to your heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your own heart? You may feel you're lost at sea, perhaps that the world is on fire. It's alright. There is a light that still shines in the darkest of nights. Just come home. Will you come home? Will you come home to your heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your own heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your own heart? What are you searching for?
Thank you, Lea. That was beautiful. And welcome to our Sunday celebration of life. I am Alice Reid, and I am your speaker here today. I want to welcome you on this rainy Sunday morning. It may not be raining where you are, but it is here in Santa Cruz and Live Oak. And we are continuing to shelter in place and to come to you by means of either Facebook or YouTube. So I want to thank you and welcome you to our time together this morning. As we come up to this 9-month mark of sheltering in place, and with COVID, I can sense in myself and in the people around me a little more COVID fatigue, like this again. Where some of us we're adapting, we're getting used to it, but that doesn't mean we aren't tired of it. Tired of being apart, tired of needing to be extra careful when we're out in public, tired of not being able to do the things that we love to do. And of course there's a sadness that for those of us that enjoyed the holidays with our family, that we won't be able to do that. And all of this sort of coalesces and comes together in this time of where the days are shorter and there's more darkness, and solstice is coming up. And so it feels to me like it's almost just the perfect formula for us to begin to step into some deep and powerful and beautiful inner work. So this month we are celebrating divine truth, and despite the fact that we're not going to be able to get together this month as we usually do, it is a tradition, a deep tradition within this community that we come together for a solstice celebration. And we also do a burning bowl at the end of the year, and so we plan to do both of those events, but do them virtually. So next Sunday morning when you join us, Reverend Elijah will be giving a special solstice talk, and we'll have some lovely music with that. And then at 6 p.m. Sunday night, we'll come together for a Zoom gathering where we'll come to our Zoom room and we'll do a special storytelling with some music and candle lighting. And so we'll have a chance to be together even though we're apart. And then finally, we'll do a burning bowl ceremony where we allow what wants to come up and be released to be fully released, and there'll be ways that you can participate in that even though you can't be here with us. I'm going to say more about that towards the end of our time together this morning. So today I want to look at how Spirit always makes a way out of no way. And perhaps you found yourself in a tight spot in the past a place where you felt stuck or painted into a corner and there was no way out, and I know I've certainly had that experience. Yet what I know is that my past, the things that I've been through before, remind me that the only way through is through. And last week we talked about the shadow and that medium in the subconscious that keeps us from being clear, and to just sort of put it simply, the emotional shadows really represent something from our past that has created a filter that then overshadows something that we're experiencing in the present moment. And that's really what the shadow is when we talk about it from a spiritual perspective. The shadow blocks us from expressing and experiencing love, experiencing the full sunlight of the Spirit as it wants to move through us. And recognizing and naming your shadow is the first step in greater revelation, in greater revealing. And when I think about what's going on in the world, it feels to me that the world is calling out for greater healing, greater revealing. And often I find myself lamenting about what's going on in the world and all the things that are happening that are just very disturbing and upsetting. It's really easy to see what ails the world. It's really easy to see what's wrong out there. Dare I say, it's really convenient. It's convenient when I can project my feelings and what's going on in my heart and to look at what's happening out and around me as opposed to feeling my own feelings, feeling my own pain. And I think that's where we tend to get stuck. We get stuck in this place where there's something that comes up and there's some protective measure within ourselves, call it the ego, call it the self unseen that begins to find a way to protect us from our own feelings of hurt and pain. This is deep work. But I want to remind you that Spirit always makes a way of no way, that always makes a way out of no way. And my talk title this week comes from a phrase that I heard Dr. Kathy Hearn say in a prayer a couple of weeks ago. And it reminded me how true it is that no matter what's going on, oftentimes when life gets constrictive, it's really easy for me to sort of get into that really small package. And I need to be reminded that there's always a way through and that I'm never walking alone. That's why we're in spiritual community. That's why you're here now. That's why you're listening to me, because you know the power of spiritual community to help lead us through those difficult times. And there are so many stories that speak to this idea about retrieval and renewal and redemption. And if we look at all the different faith traditions that are celebrating this month, there's Hanukkah and Christmas and Advent, and the Sufis are celebrating the passing of Rumi, and there are a couple of feast days going on, and so there's there's Kwanzaa. So there are many faith traditions that are up for us right now and really available through their rituals to allow us to, and even shepherd us through what it is that we're ready to bring up and heal and release. And so, given that it is the fourth day of Hanukkah, I thought I would briefly tell the story of the Festival of Lights. We've talked about it before, but it bears remembering that the story of the Festival of Lights is what Hanukkah is all about, and it's this time of year when Jewish individuals come together and they celebrate the return of the light, the miracle of the light, when there was no way there could be any more light. And if you recall the story, there was a Syrian Greek emperor who was really trying to he was actually very oppressive with the Jewish community. He wanted to get them to worship the Greek gods. He was outlawing their beautiful rituals and practices. It was incredibly difficult for the Jewish population, and so at some point their leaders stood up and they fought back. And they fought back against great odds, and they won. They won their freedom. They fought for their liberty, and so they went back to the temple to consecrate it, and they went to the oil, which needed to be burned for 8 days, and they found they only had enough oil for 1 day. There was no way to get any more oil, and they needed to consecrate the temple, and so they decided to trust and go forth with the ritual anyway. And miracles of miracles, there was enough oil for 8 days, and they were able to sanctify their precious temple, and they were able to rejoice in the liberty and the freedom that they were once again experiencing as a culture. And so it is said that the darkness is merely the absence of light, and cold is the absence of heat, and fear is the absence of faith. And it's our faith that reminds us that there will be light and warmth soon, even though we may be in a very dark time. Maybe you're experiencing that individually, maybe you're experiencing that in your relationships, or maybe in the collective. But what I know is that this Festival of Light story really does speak to the truth that we can overcome seeming limited conditions when we trust. And what I know about the Jewish traditions are that in addition to trusting, in addition to practicing their faith, in addition to actually leaning into their faith, they also do another practice of forgiveness and renewal called Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. And these are beautiful rituals that help them to move through and to let go of things that might be holding them back, the shadow, if you will, that's keeping them from the sunlight of the Spirit. And those holidays are quite a few days off, but why wait? Why wait to step into forgiveness? Once we've mustered up the courage to face our shadow, once we've drawn our faith up and we've allowed ourselves to be in this place of welcoming in greater revelation and greater healing, then it's time to look towards forgiveness, to show us this way out of no way out. And sometimes it's challenging to get from being triggered to forgiveness. Sometimes it feels like a really long road, like a cross-country trip, if you will. And it reminds me of this time many, many years ago while I was vacationing with my family, that I found myself in that unfortunate familial territory where I was overreacting to somebody I love. You guys have never experienced that, right? Never. I always am a little surprised when that happens, but it seems that it's with our family that we feel safest, and so it would make sense that we might be a little unconscious around them. So I'm remembering that this particular year, I found myself fighting with my sister over something really inconsequential. A little piece of cheese. I had snatched a piece of cheese from the salad, and she had slapped my hand and shamed me. And I got so angry that it was dinner time, we were getting ready to sit down, and I just stormed out of the house. And I had no idea where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going to be there anymore. I was going to take that from her anymore. And so I stormed out of the house. I got in my car and I started driving madly, and I didn't know where I was going. I figured I'd go down to the main drag in the little beach town that we were at. And I suddenly realized I didn't know where I was. And I was feeling all this angst and this anger, and I looked up at the street sign, and it said, "Make peace way." And I literally did a double take. And then I said out loud, like, "This isn't funny, God. I'm not ready for that." Make peace way. I got the message But it wasn't, my ego was still pretty stirred up, so I decided I would go have dinner, and then I would come back to the house and talk to my sister, because I had gotten my sign from God that I was to make peace. When I got back to the house, my sister and I sat down and we began to discuss and to make our peace. And we didn't, sometimes we think making our peace is just to pretend it didn't happen, but that's not what happened that night. What happened was that we began to talk about what was underneath our reactions, what was triggering us to why she got angry with me and why I got angry with her. And it was incredibly healing, and dare I say, probably a turning point in our relationship. I think that as we do this shadow work, it's to look at those places where we're triggered, where we've got a reaction happening, where something is that knee-jerk reaction that calls up the hurt feelings in us or the anger in us. And then we've got a clue that there's something in our shadow that we're reacting to. Now, I know there are legitimate things that we get upset about, but it is the measure of our emotional reaction that can help us to know if there's something on our side of the street that we really need to clean up, or something that we need to heal or release or let go of. So sometimes there's nothing you did. It's just an old hurt that you're still holding on to. And so when we have these kinds of things, we need to be willing to bring light to that shadow emotion that has come up and trust that Spirit will show us a way out when there's no way. And what happens when we have that little tiny bit of faith and willingness to trust that Spirit will show us the way out? Well, then we begin to see patterns in the universe and begin to interact with those patterns, and we get inner guidance and direction, and our heart begins to speak to us because we've created an opening. Now, I won't pretend with you that listening to a 25-minute talk about the shadow and forgiveness is going to clear all your ills. It's pretty deep work, but it's very worthwhile. And what I know is that when we do our work, it changes us. And when we're willing to forgive, it shifts us so that we can be different in the world, so then the world can be different. And so sometimes I think we get this backwards, where we think we have to change everything in the world first. But it's important for us to begin to look, and in this time of rapid transformation, I think we're called upon to do both. We're called upon to see what it is that we're to do out in the world and what it is that we need to release from within ourselves so that we can be the clearest expression for that change and that love that's being called forward. And so right now, as I reminded you last week, the world needs our healing consciousness. It needs us to be in a place where we can begin to release those old patterns that aren't serving us anymore, because when we release our patterns, well, we're clearer, right? It's that quote from last week about the infraction of light, and it begins to move through us clearly. Then we're like the Jews who didn't think they had enough oil, but they trusted and they just took a step forward, moving as if they did, and everything worked out perfectly. So my invitation this week really is to begin to look at forgiveness as a practice in addition to the shadow work. I promised you that we would talk a little bit about how to clear things, and forgiveness is that practice of how we get clearer, how we release things, and how we move forward in wholeness, wholeheartedly, if you will. And my guess is that, many of you have been practicing forgiveness for a long time. And the reason that we continue to come back to forgiveness over and over again is because it works. It clears that path. It allows us to shine again from a place of wholeness. And forgiveness is for you. It's not necessarily for anyone else. It's for you to have that clear experience. It's for you to be transparent. It's for you to begin to express yourself from a place of wholeness, not tethered to something that is like the Greeks that were oppressing the Jews, for you to be liberated. And so I thought that I would share a brief forgiveness practice with you this morning. It's a simple practice that one of my teachers taught me, and I've shared it with you before. And so if you'll join me, let's go ahead and do this little practice. And so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze and to take a deep breath. Take one more deep cleansing breath. And I ask you to invite your higher wisdom self to bring forward to you some place where you've had a challenging relationship. It could be with somebody in your family, it could be with yourself, it could be with an institution, it could be with a famous individual. Just bring forward that place that is uncomfortable and painful for you for just this one moment, so that we can invite this forgiveness practice called the love prayer. And so once you have the name of the individual or the institution, I'm going to invite you silently in your mind on the in-breath to simply say, I accept you, and then call their name. And with the out-breath, I bless you, and to call their name. So let's do that for a couple rounds of breath. Finishing up the cycle that you're on with the last exhale. Maybe noticing a little bit of a shift, I feel it myself, in creating an open space where there once was no way. Healing and clearing our shadow through awareness and forgiveness may seem minuscule compared to world peace, or peace in our nation over the divisiveness of the political or racial landscape. But trust me when I say to you that individual healing leads to healing in our relationships, which then individual healing leads to healing in our relationships, which then leads to healing in the world. That we work with the self, and then we work with our relationships, and then it happens in the collective. So as we move through this month, consider what needs to be healed in your life. You may even want to consider offering it up to the burning bowl ceremony that we will be doing this month. It'll be a virtual burning bowl, and so you can write it down on a piece of paper, you can put it in an envelope, you can seal it and write "Attention Burning Bowl," and you can mail it to the center, you can drop it off. We don't even need your name on the outside. We won't open any of those envelopes, but we will offer them during the ritual. And if you feel confident enough, you can email me what you want to release, and I won't show it to anyone, but I will offer that up to the burning bowl. And all of that information is in our e-news and on our website. And so I encourage you to join us for this burning bowl. While we can't invite you into the sanctuary to partake in the ritual yourself, we will receive all these, we will hold them confidential, we will pray over them, and then we will burn them in a very beautiful ritual called the burning bowl, and we will share that with you. This work that we're doing right now on the collective level and on the individual level we really are being called to something greater. We're being called to shepherding in and ushering in a new era. And it starts with the individual. It starts with you. So I hope you'll join me for our solstice celebration. I hope you'll join us for our burning bowl. And I hope that something that we're sharing with you really helps you to navigate these trying times so that you can really inhabit yourself and find that clearer self that can radiate the sunshine of the Spirit in your own life and out into the world. So now I'd like to thank you very much and invite you to this spiritual mind treatment, this affirmative prayer. So if you'll close your eyes and take a deep breath. Really feeling your body temple as you take that breath and allowing yourself to recognize that the body temple is indeed the expression of the one power, the one presence, that creative nature of life, the mystery, the thing that makes the rain fall and the grass grow. And knowing that that power is in, through, and expresses as everything, please know that it expresses you too. That you are one with that loving presence that is forever recreating itself through our lives. And so I know for each one that we allow ourselves to center our attention during these difficult times, during these unusual times, center ourselves with our heart. For it is the heart that is the great alchemist, the heart that allows us to move beyond our thinking, to move beyond our strategies, and to connect with that creative presence that wants to shine fully through you. And so I know for each one listening to the sound of my voice that we allow ourselves to be carried, we allow ourselves to be supported as we decide very intentionally what it is that we want to let go of and what it is that we are ready to embrace. And so I know for each one that there is guidance, guarding, and protection, that each one has the courage to release all that doesn't serve you, and that each one has the power to release this to that creative and powerful self-existent cause that wants to express by means of you in powerful and clear ways that are authentic, that only you can express as you. And so I speak this word of courage, and I speak this word of willingness, and I speak this word of revelation, knowing that each one is able to open their hearts and move into a greater good, both for our individual selves and for our community and for our world. So it is with a surrendered heart that I gratefully release these words, knowing that it is Spirit that carries them forward. And I know that as each one speaks these words, it is done. So join me in saying, and so it is. And now I want to share with you a video that we created early on in the pandemic so that you can remember who we are. And this is Karen Drucker, sung to videos of our community.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love. love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love.
Wow, thank you, Karen Drucker, for sharing your music with us. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you for making us part of your Sunday morning. Thank you to our tech staff, to everyone who shows up here on the Sunday mornings to make this happen. Mohini, Susan, Reverend Alice, Nancy, myself. Thank you. Our practitioner, Sky of the Day, our musicians, Lea and Karen Drucker, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of this community and for keeping us going so that we can continue to support keeping you going. And so as part of the great big thank you, I also just want to say that if you find this useful or inspiring, please do share this with our community. And we just want to thank all of our CSL sustainers, those of you who continue to give, to pledge, and to support this community. And as an opportunity, I just want to remind you that there's many, many, many ways you can give to support this center. One of the newest ones, which I just want to say a great big shout out and thank you to our office manager, Tina, for, is the new little QR code on the screen that if you were to hold up your camera phone, the phone on your camera, you could just zap that and it would take you to a paywall where you could donate through PayPal. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, thank you for your gifts. A few things. We wrapped up our pledge program last week, and just to give you the update, that we received about half of our annual goal. And many, many, many of you have pledged, and thank you so much to all of those who have pledged. I actually just filled out my pledge card this morning because I've been looking at it and been a little bit forgetful. And so I want to remind everybody that it's never too late to pledge. And so, like me, if you forgot to send yours in, by all means, please do so. Every pledge allows us to plan a little bit deeper for next year and to know what we're working with. And so in order for us to keep serving you, we ask you to continue supporting us. And so it's never too late to pledge. Next week is winter solstice. And as many of you know, the winter solstice has been a very important and powerful time for this community every year, and we've often gathered in ritual to celebrate that darkest night and the return of the light. And so we're going to be having a special Sunday morning service. I'll be the speaker that Sunday, and we're going to be talking about the metaphor, the reason for the season, the return of the light. And we've been sharing poetry throughout this month to sort of set the stage for all of that. And our beloved Reverend Alice is going to be hosting a Zoom candlelighting service, ritual, and time of community at 6 p.m. on winter solstice, on the very sort of the evening of the darkest night. And we're going to be meeting in our CSL Zoom room at 831-000-1818. The password is 1818. And almost every year we've done some sort of candlelighting service here at the center. And this year, our candlelighting service is going to be spread all over Santa Cruz County. And so we invite you to join us, to light a candle, and to be part of that process. Our beloved Reverend Alice is also offering a new class she's calling Reignite Your Life. Practices that will move you in the direction of your dreams. And this is an opportunity to be in class with Reverend Alice to explore some of the basic and deep principles that we teach here at CSL Santa Cruz and begin to apply them to your life and work in a small community setting to really be in practice together. So join Reverend Alice on Wednesday evenings for 5 weeks, starting January 13th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. As you know or may not know, we used to meet in the fellowship hall and have a time to share and to talk and to be together. And so in the times of this global pandemic through 2020, we've been having the talk after the talk, which is just a short time to gather as a community, to meet with Reverend Alice, to talk about the talk, to be with each other, to see and hear each other's faces and voices on Zoom. And so from 11:30 to 12, you can join us on Zoom for just a little bit of time of community after the service. We'd love to see you there. And as you know, we also have our Project to Connect, which meets Monday through Saturday, almost every day of the week at 1 p.m., which is hosted by our beloved Kaylee Dugan, and you get a time with one of our prayer practitioners. And it's just one more opportunity to check in with the community, to get a place of support, to be together. And that is just one more way that you can connect with this community. Next week, as I said, I'll be your speaker. There's a whole lot happening here at CSL Santa Cruz. Do save the date for next week. Join us at 6 p.m. for our winter solstice candlelighting service. And most of all, just remember that we're here, that we love you, and that no matter how often we get to actually physically see each other, we are still a beloved community. Thank you, my friends, and we'll see you next week.